Hello, everyone. I think we're good to go ahead and get started. Is that right? Wonderful. So my name is Jordan Fields. I am the Aspen Product Librarian, which means that I get to work with all of our wonderful libraries and partners to figure out what we need to develop for Aspen Discovery, what you're most looking for, and what your patrons are looking for. I'm joined today by my colleagues, Kelly and Bill, so they'll be watching the chat for me. Thanks so much for joining me, you two. And then it's my absolute pleasure today to get to show you a bunch of the new things that we have in Aspen Discovery this year. So keep in mind, these are just going to be a few of the new features and enhancements. We're just going to kind of show you the really fun stuff. But yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started and see some of that fun stuff. Whoop. All right. One of the things we did earlier this year was a new event integration. So we'd already had integrations with Library Calendar from Library Market and LibCal from SpringShare. This year, we did a new integration with Communico, so their Attend module. What you're going to be seeing today is from one of our library partners' Attend modules in our one of our test sites. So it's going to look a lot the same as those other event integrations, but we did add a whole bunch of new event features, even for the other event integrations to go along with that Communico integration. So let's say that I am an avid library user, not just for books, but one of my favorite things to do at the library is to go to some of their craft programs. So it's the beginning of autumn. We just had autumn. Well, I think the equinox was Saturday. So I'm going to go ahead and search for fall. And because I'm a power user, I know that I can take a shortcut and just search for events in here. Instead of looking for events coming up in the search results, I can search events directly. So I'm going to do that right here. And immediately I get results related to fall. So my library is not Warrensville or North Olmsted. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and limit by branch. I can open that up to see all the different branches. And I'm going to select Fairview Park branch. That's my branch and apply that right there. And then I see, okay, Student Success Center, Student Success. I'm an adult. I don't need the student ones. So I'm going to go ahead and limit this to adults to see what I can get. And wonderful. I don't even have to limit to like a craft type program. I can already see that there are 3 different options for me right here. So one of the new things that we did with our Communico integration is offer information on registering for an event. There are 2 different ways you can set up event registration. Communico allows you actually to do a complete integration with their registration module. But what we've uncovered through working with our libraries is that most of the time for registration, you don't want patrons to have to authenticate. You don't want them to have to use their barcode. So we actually developed 2 different ways. One is you can set it up that way where the barcode registration is mandatory and you register through Aspen, but most of the time that's not what people want. So I'm going to show you the way that most of our libraries are using it. So you have 2 different buttons here. One is registration information. And what that's going to do is it's going to take you out to that event platform because we don't want you to have, most people don't want to use that registration, require that barcode. So again, this is one of our test libraries. So it takes you out to one of our partners. So it takes you out to their site to register for the event. The other thing that we added is this add to your events. I love this because it means that you can track your events directly within Aspen, and I'll show you how that works. So I'm going to go ahead and add to your events. Now, one of the concerns that we had was that would people be confused between registering for an event or just adding an event? So we do have something that's very clear here to say, you just save this. If you want to register for it, go ahead and we get to that registration information again. But otherwise, this event was saved to your events successfully. So that's great. I'm going to go ahead and add this one to my events too, because that one also looks great. And I'll add the 3rd one. So now I have all 3 of these saved. Okay, so now then where do those go? I'm going to go ahead and show you where. Within your account, you now have a Your Events section. And what it did is it took all those events. I now have an area here that says these are the 3 that you are interested in. Another check on that registration. So if I need to register, I can go ahead and it'll send me over there and I can see if I've registered or not. And again, how this works is going to depend completely on the individual library, how registration works. And we do have a modal pop-up too, where if you need to provide patrons with specific information on how registration works, you can do all of that there. Okay. Let's go ahead and look a little bit more at events. So I'm going to search events again for fall. And instead of, again, it cleared out, because it always does unless we lock them, it cleared out my search facets. So instead of looking for crafts for myself, I know that my little kiddo has fall break coming up in a few weeks. And I want to see if there are any events for her at the library during her fall break. So one of the other new facets that we added is this event date facet right here. So I can go ahead and say, all right, her fall break starts Monday the 16th and it goes until Friday the 20th. I'm not going to bother to limit by branch because I am just looking for anything that will keep her busy. Let's actually go ahead and limit it by age group too. Let's just do children. Okay, and then we can see everything that is available for my kiddo. No matter the branch, we have this nice little event facet right over here. There's actually a lot more going on with events behind the scenes. We are automatically pulling in events from your event platform. So you can decide whether or not to show those, what order you want them in. You can rename them. You see we have the locking here. So if you're always looking for kids events, you could lock that. They're collapsible. You can decide whether or not they're open or closed for your patrons to start. And you also can decide whether or not you want the number of results shown. So you can see these number of results there. Basically, it's all of the controls that you have for the regular facets are now available for events. So that's just a little bit about the new stuff that came to our events integration, the new features, as well as the new integration with Communico that we love. Okay, so let's have another little scenario where I was talking to my sister, and it is getting to be the time of year where we both get really excited about canning. And she was telling me about this great new ebook that she got from the library that had wonderful tips on canning. And I remember that it was about canning. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and search to click back to searching in the library catalog. And now there's a lot of canning books. There's, let's see, 562. So I don't really want to wade through all of these, but I do remember that my sister said the author's name was Yana, because Yana's another one of our friends. So how can I find this book? Well, we have a new feature that lets you search the results of facets. So I have all the authors right up here. It's going to show the top results, but I want to see I want to find the one that's by Yana. Oh, that's it, exactly. So Yana Duncan is the author I was looking for. I can select that and apply. And then I'm going to see the title. Yep, this is the one she was telling about, showing me, and I can go ahead and check that one out in Hoopla if I want. We've had more new features with facets as well. I'm going to take you over to one of our partner sites to see those. We have many facets in Aspen. Well, many. We have about 40 facets in Aspen, and you can decide, of course, which ones you want, which ones you don't want. But every once in a while, we've kind of run into a need for a bespoke facet, just something you have some data in your MARC records that we need to access that one of those 40 facets didn't cover. So one of the things that we built this in the past few months is custom facets. So I'm going to do a blank search so I can return everything from Cuyahoga. One of the things that they have that's really special to their patrons is this toy collection. And they had data that they pulled out of a completely different system. They put it in their MARC records, and then they used our brand new custom facet feature to be able to limit for these toys. Like I said, you wouldn't want to do this for every special collection, but this collection is very special to them. So let's go back, and I'm thinking about my daughter again, and I'm again looking for things for her to do on that fall break. She is 6 to 8 years old. I have these special toy facets down here with that custom data. So I selected 6 to 8 years old. She's been struggling a little bit with math, so I'm going to go ahead and check math. And now I see right here, I have a list of 17 different math-related toys specifically for someone her age. And of course, I could go ahead and share the search. Not share the search, save the search, come back to it later. But it's these custom facets that are letting me get at this very specific list when I know my library has a collection like this. So some other custom stuff that we did, a lot of our focus over the past few months has been making the user interface look even more specific to your library. So I'm going to go ahead and do another blank search so you can see something that we've done with custom format limiters. So at the top right here, libraries now have the option to put whatever icons they want up here. And again, this is just a quick and easy way to limit to specific facets. I have another example that I'm going to show you too. We'll go over here to Manchester City Library and you can see theirs. Theirs are a little closer to our regular ones, but again, you can upload any image that you want right here. And I love that you just have so much control over what your catalog looks like. Another new feature that gives you more control over what your catalog looks like is the ability to create custom covers for when your library can't, or when there's no cover available for that item and you haven't uploaded a custom cover. So I'm going to go ahead to Okaloosa County Public Library and search for truck train. I know that one doesn't have a cover. This one just kind of cracks me up. I love it. It's the cover not available, but it's just like a little sticky note like, oh, this is, it's okay. Don't worry about it. The cover is not available. So that one's cute and really fits the personality of their library. I have another example over here. Pretty simple, pretty informative, image not available, and then the name of the public library on there. So it can fit the personality of your library, the branding of your library. I've seen some with bookshelves on them, and it's just one more way to keep everything in your catalog on brand. We have another feature. I'll go back to Manchester City Library. One of the things we do with Aspen is we have Aspen Community meetings, and that community meeting, they rank some of the features that are the most important to them as a community. So as all of the libraries using Aspen, we think that this is absolutely critical. One of the things that they wanted earlier in this year was the ability to see a book cover for every different edition that's in a grouped work. So remember, within Aspen, we have these grouped works that pull all of the different bib records together. Manchester City Library is a member of a consortium, and Pride and Prejudice is, older book, going to have a lot of copies. We can click Show Editions right here. And you're going to see all of the different covers. So I know this one is in my specific library. I know that I am looking for this cover and not necessarily this one. Now, for some libraries, this is a lot and they don't want all these covers. Like almost everything in Aspen, this is an option. So you can have this, you can turn it on, and maybe some libraries don't, and that's okay. That's what we want. We want it to be customizable for you. Something else that we did that we're particularly proud of is we created our community content server. Now, this is a server that has information in the background that all of the Bywater libraries can connect to and share certain things. So what we have available for sharing right now are themes, and you can have more than one theme in Aspen, as well as languages. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what themes looks like. I'm not logged in. This is available for anyone. If you are logged in, it will save your preferences. If you're not, it's just going to update either the language or the look or both for your session. So I'm clicking on languages and display in the upper right-hand corner. I'm going to keep it at English, but I'm going to switch to dark mode, and I'm going to click update settings, and then you're going to see me go into dark mode. Now, Swan did not have to do all of the work to create this dark mode. We did within Bywater, we created a dark mode. We put it on our community content server, and we made that available to anyone that wants to use it. And they were able to then download that dark mode, have a way head start. It doesn't download things like your logo at the top. We know you're going to want to change that, but all of the colors, everything else, it takes you so much time to make it look just right. You can go ahead and get a head start downloading that, and then you can share this really cool different mode for your users. Of course, I kind of skipped over this whole other thing I did, which is you can have more than one mode. You have your regular mode. You can have a dark mode. Lots of users just prefer that. Or some people just need high contrast. It's just a lot easier for them to read the catalog that way. So Swan also downloaded a high contrast mode and again, modified it from our server. And you can see here, still looks like Swan, but just a little bit of a cleaner look and feel for folks that prefer a high contrast. The other thing that we have in our community content server are languages. This works a little bit differently. So we have any time you decide to add an additional language to Aspen, you can go ahead and just pull it down automatically off of the community content server. So if you want to add French, you just go into your admin settings and say, I would like to add French. Now we have a whole bunch of new features coming out all the time. And if you think about all the languages that we support, how do we stay up on keeping all of those translated? Well, that actually all happens in the community content server as well. So the first person to translate a new word into French, that will go to our community content server, and then everyone has that translation. With our translations, you can, of course, always override things. So if you don't like the word that person used to translate and you think it should be something else, you can always create your own custom translation. You can always do that. And we will never override your custom translations. But that's a great way so that when anybody in the community updates a translated word, at least the first version goes out to everyone. Okay. Let's go ahead and talk about another new feature that just came out. These are called quick polls for Aspen's web builder. So you can see right here that I just made a poll. These can be single or multi-select and have as many of these options as you want. Here we are choosing the new library mascot. If you want to, you can add another option. Also, the event was one that I was looking at. And then you can choose whether or not you're collecting name or email. And for this one, I'll show you a little bit of the back end. I think it's a good time right now to go ahead and dig into things happening on the back end. So you would just choose a title for the poll. You also get to choose the URL. You can choose whether it's open, whether you're working on it right now. And then when you're closed, if somebody still has that URL, it just says, hey, the poll is already closed. You then have introductory text that you can use to put at the top. You can see that up here. You also have what happens after they submit the poll, any additional instructions, and then you get your options down here. Requiring login, require name, require email, everything is always a configuration option, whether or not you allow a single selection or multi-selection, and then of course the libraries that it applies to. Okay, I want to show you a few other things in our admin section. We had request to be able to export some reports. So things like e-commerce reports, donation reports, people really wanted those in CSV. So what we did was we made it so that it was easy to export almost any of those types of tables or reports within Aspen. So I'm going to go ahead and look for our author authorities. We're obviously not going to show you like any kind of e-commerce or anything like that. Oh, thought I had access to this, but maybe not. Yeah, there we go. Okay, great. Whew. What we have down here is export to CSV. You can select certain ones and only export those selected. And then what I really love is you can filter it. So if I wanted to do something like filter it by date added, you can do that. And then it will limit what you're seeing there. And you can only export just the ones based on those filters. Okay. The next thing that I want to talk about is an admin feature that's been really great for some of our consortia. So here you see the Community Libraries of Province Library, and they are a member of Ocean State Libraries. Now, Ocean State Libraries really wanted to give their libraries many complete control over the interface. But sometimes with a consortium, you also need to get both kind of branding in there. So what they wanted is the ability to maybe lock this header or lock the footer at the bottom so that they can give a lot of permissions, but also maintain just control over individual fields. We have very strong permissions controls within Aspen. You can create whatever role you want, but sometimes you don't want to create a whole role, or you can't even just for one field. So I'll show you what that looks like in the back end. So I'm in themes. I'm going to go ahead and edit this. And then let's say that we wanted to lock down the footer. So I'm just going to search for, oops, 2 O's, not 2 T's. I'm going to go ahead and search for footer right here. There are just so many theme settings. We have this search for a property up here, so it's just an easy way when you know exactly what you're looking for. So now every field in admin for your very top administrator permissions will have the ability to lock or unlock this field right here. And what that means is no matter what permissions, no matter what role somebody has, they cannot edit that one specific field. So I can let you edit like the 100 different fields in your theme if you want to, but you just can't edit the footer. We're just going to lock all of these footer things down so that we have control over the footer, but the library has control over everything else. Okay, so that's a lot for Aspen Discovery. I have a few more things I want to show you in Aspen LiDA. So I'm going to switch over to my LiDA simulator. So keep in mind, this is a simulator. A few things I'll talk through because we can't do all of the functionality off of this simulator, but you'll get a good sense of all of the new awesome stuff that we have in LiDA. So one of the first things I want to show you is that language support. So we have full language support within LiDA, and it pulls directly from whatever you have in Discovery. It's down here in the accounts drawer, and I can pull it up and show you Spanish. And then it switches to Spanish, just like you would expect. And I'll go back to English so you can see that. It's going to be the same options that you have in Discovery. You don't have to do completely separate settings for LiDA. You just have to enable it in Discovery. And then if you're using LiDA, you get that as well. We also have reading history. So this pulls in the reading history. Again, if they have it turned on in Aspen, they see it here. If in Discovery, if they don't have it turned on, they don't get access here, but they can always turn it on. You have some sorting. So right now it's sort by last used. I can sort by title. I can delete my reading history. I can stop my reading history. It's really important to have this privacy notice that explains how it works. It doesn't take up so much space in the full desktop web version, but we wanted people to know this privacy notice was here. So we have a privacy notice. Of course, you can edit that text to meet whatever needs your library has. Something else that we did is we made sure that library cards are available for anyone with linked accounts. So now if you are that parent or that adult that has responsibility for other folks, you can have access to their library card within Aspen 2, their barcode. So we have 2 users right here. I can go ahead and open this barcode and then go here. And I can open the other barcode. So just a really simple way to make sure that if you're trying, to check out books for a whole family, each can be checking it out on their own barcode, and nobody has to carry their physical library cards anymore. Speaking of barcodes, some of the most exciting things that we've done in Aspen recently are related to barcodes. So you can see this barcode symbol right up here. Again, this is something I'm going to have to talk through a little bit because we're on a simulator. But if you click this, it's going to open the barcode scanner on your phone. If you're at the bookstore, you can scan a book. It will pull it up directly here in Aspen if the library has a copy of it, and you can place a hold or you can do whatever you want to it from there. So look for this barcode symbol. Another place we have this barcode symbol is even when you're logging in the first time. One of the nice things about an app is that you don't have to log in very much, but you'll see this barcode symbol and you can just scan your library barcode and that'll help you log in. Of course, you still need your PIN. It just gets that barcode number in there. The last thing that I want to show you is the most exciting, and for libraries that have this enabled, the Scan and Go button down here at the bottom, I'll go ahead and click on this. You're going to be able to check out books with your just with your app. So it's like a little self-checkout machine within the app. So if you have multiple users, I'm going to have to decide which one I'm going to check out to. So I'm going to go ahead and select this one. And then I have add a new item. Again, a little tricky to show off here, but you would just scan the library barcode, you get a list of those, and then you click finish. When you're finished, you can either go and view your checkouts, or if you do have that linked account, you can start a new checkout session. So if you're standing there with multiple people, go ahead and go to this. Actually, I'll go ahead and go to Discover because that's a little bit more of a fun screen. So that is about as much as I could fit into a quick webinar of our new features. We release 40 to 60 individual improvements or features or bug fixes or what have you per month. So I would definitely encourage you to check out our release notes, but I did want to leave a few minutes for questions. So I'm going to go ahead and stop share and I will get back to our our screen. Okay. So do we have any questions?
I haven't seen any, Jordan. But if someone goes on a site, oh, here we go. There is how is the self-checkout restricted location wise?
It is not restricted right now. So right now it is an on or off. It is a multi-phase. This one like literally just came out a few weeks ago in production. But working with our partners, we talked to them about what was most important. And lots of times we do it in phases. So it will be restricted. Libraries will have the option to limit it within the library if they want to. But right now we don't have that quite done yet.
And then
I
for
see that
folk entertainment, I put in the TikTok we did on showing how to do the scanning in LiDA.
it's super fun. I love that.
You have to have the volume up when you play it, though. And then there was a comment from Victor saying, love the new self-checkout feature. I think this would be great for libraries doing events out in the community.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. We're really excited to hear. My favorite thing about launching new features is that all of a sudden it gets everybody's brains going like, well, we could do this, or we could do this, or we could do this. And that's how we get all of the really, really great new ideas.
And you see the one about how do you get the self-checkout in LiDA? I don't see it on mine.
It's in the Aspen admin settings. I will see if I can find a link on that.
And then Susie, are you on your personal one on your iPhone or Android? You just want to make sure you're up. You downloaded the most recent version too.
And if you're looking directly in LiDA, that needs to be enabled on the library side. Like that's not something we're just going to turn on for you. So it's within the LiDA settings within Aspen Discovery. I think I just misunderstood the question. You have to say, yes, please turn this on for me or you won't see it. And so if you don't have that turned on, the nice thing is, it's not like a button that doesn't work. You literally just won't see that button. And that's a feature that just came out last week. So lots of libraries, I think, might be learning a little more about it before they turn it on.
And then another question from Victor, is there a way to set a specific branch name location if you're using the self-checkout out in the community? I can see this being useful for stats.
We've had some questions around that. Right now, it's checking it out to the patron's home location because the thought is, well, that's what we know about the patron. And the majority of the time, that's where libraries want it tracked to. But we did talk about that a little bit as a community. So we talked about maybe the option to create like a LiDA branch or some special branch for tracking that separately. So that's an option for the future. But right now, it's just looking at the patron's home location.
And I'm not seeing any others.
All right. Well, we have like just about a minute left. So I'll go ahead and say thank you so much, everyone, for coming. Like I said, it's so much fun just to show all of the awesome stuff that we're doing. This is, of course, part of a longer series. And the next Aspen-related webinar in the Pathways to Open Source series is October 24th, where Jesse will be doing a fun introduction to Aspen Discovery. So if you're looking at this and this is your first one jumping in and you're seeing things and you just like what you see, but want to know more and maybe need to start at the beginning, that is going to be the webinar for you. So thank you so much. And thank you for coming today. And thank you for your interest in Bywater and Aspen.